obviously isolated, and it might get worse before it gets better as far as the quarantine goes. So we're going to have a lot of time indoors, a lot of time cooking, a lot of free time to maybe try something new. So to my last point, so from your perspective, how can we use food and cooking, one, to help calm anxiety, and two, to kind of help bring us together during this pandemic?
Well, we all know that cooking brings people together, and it's a huge comforting food. You know, when I heard that the restaurants were being shut down through the whole state of Ohio, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I was depressed, and I was, you know, what are we gonna do now? And I told my wife I just need to cook, so I came home and I cooked cookies yesterday, bread. We did stroganoff last night. You know, it's just comforting and brings you down to, you know, back to your roots and stuff.
Yeah.
And to bring people together, you know, make a casserole. Go, you know, share it to your neighbors, because you don't know, you know, what's happening with them. Just be good, just be good humans. You know, if you make a casserole and you know it's just you two at home, and you know someone down the street or across, you know, your hallway in your apartment complex might need some food, an elderly couple, an elderly gentleman, or a widowed wife, you know, just be decent humans, man, and just bring the community together, because that's how we're going to get through this. You know, if we're just going to sit in our houses and be like, well, it's us against the world, that's just nonsense. Yeah. It's absolutely nonsense. You know, that's why so many restaurants now are, you know, we switched our gears at the restaurant at Wolf Ridge, and it's almost like now we have to be almost like a soup kitchen kind of thing. We still have to feed the public, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we do. You know, there's days, you know, I don't know what I would do, because I've been doing this for so long, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's a great point too, is I think right now, a lot of us are stuck in that mindset of us against everybody else, you know, everybody else is an enemy. And I think, to your point, being a decent human being, and sharing, you know, when or if you can, you know, and I would, you know, feed into your point too, cooking. And for a lot of people who don't cook, they might not realize it. And I've just been getting started with it, you know, a couple of years ago, but it's almost meditative, you know, you get lost in it a little bit. It's a good way to, you know, just focus on something. You're focusing just on the recipe. You're focusing on, you know, the onions, how they're cooking, right? You're not thinking about the pandemic you're not thinking about the financial stress. In that moment, you're able to take everything and just kind of set it aside, reset a little bit, and focus just on the now, which I think is important. Obviously, if you're not present while you're cooking, you're gonna burn some. Obviously, you don't, you know.
Yeah.
So it forces you to be present.
It brings people together, you know, wife and husband, boyfriend, girlfriend. Find a recipe, see what you got in your cupboards, your refrigerators, and cook together. Get to know each other again. You know, it's just one of those. It is meditating. I get more joy out of prepping a dish than I actually do cooking it. Yeah. Because, you know, I'm picking the parsley, I'm picking the leaves, I'm being delicate with stuff that needs to be delicate, and you learn, you know, the sounds of when onions are, you know, at that point where they're almost done. And then when you make a dish and you give it to somebody and you see that they smile, that is probably one of the greatest joys that you'll ever give someone and get back. Yeah. You know, you talk about instant gratification in life. Make a meal for someone. You know, look at their face like, oh, my God, this is so good. Yeah. You know, and if you're a beginning cook, don't be surprised if someone says, But you know what? To get to the point, to the levels that, you know, a lot of cooks and chefs are, practice makes perfect. Trust me. It took me 20-some years to get to where I'm at, you know? Oh, yeah.
It's funny, too, because my fiance, Sydney, she doesn't really cook, so I make her food all the time. And as soon as I drop it off, she takes her first couple of bites, and I look at her just to see her facial expression. It's instant gratification too, because it does make you feel good when somebody else compliments your cooking, just like any kind of receiving any compliment. So it's good for the personal level, keeping that confidence up in a time where there's not a lot of confidence anywhere, financially and with the jobs and just personally, so I think it's a good way to, like you said, reconnect with your family, because we're so busy working and doing everything that a lot of times we kind of lose touch a little bit. But I think we have a unique opportunity in the next couple weeks here to get back to our roots, reconnect with each other. And I think a great method of transit for that is through food, right? That's the one thing we all have in common. We like to eat, which is, I think that's really important to recognize there. So, Chef, that's all the questions I got for you today. Did you have anything that you wanted to go on a rant about at the end here?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of blogs that I follow that people could, get on their internets and look at it. One's called Spruce Eats, fabulous blog. Another one's called Food 52. It takes more of a vegetarian and vegan approach to stuff. And then another one's called Half Baked Harvest. Every time I get on that thing, I just want to cook everything. Yeah. And then I also want to approach to people like, if you don't want to, we're at a time that we need to support local businesses, local farms, local produce things, I got a couple, we got Covey Rise, we got Copia, we got Arnell Valley out of Athens, we got Holly Hills Meat Shop out of Reynoldsburg. I mean, there's a place that you could get, it's called Misfit Markets. So what that is you could get online, you could order different kinds of boxes of vegetables and fruits that they're going to go get thrown away because they're not that perfect cylinder apple. Yeah. And there's a lot of chefs out there that are doing this movement, like, give me your ugly vegetables and fruits and I'll make something wonderful out of them. Yeah. And that's what these people are doing. They're taking the nasties because they're not perfectly store-bought, grocery store looking carrots, and they're giving them to people. Yeah. There's Blystone, there's Yellowbird that does deliveries. You could get on there and do vegetable boxes. There's Mosley's Meat Market in Hilliard. I mean, Asian stores, go to ethnic stores, people. Yeah. You will be surprised how much stuff you can buy cheap and not have to deal with the masses. Yeah. I love going there knowing I could buy 25 pounds of rice for $10. Yeah. Feed the masses with that, feed the masses.
And you also have everything. You also support people. Those businesses, especially the Asian stores, are kind of taking a hit just due to society's ignorance right now.
Exactly. I'll walk up in an Asian store any day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's that's just stay local. That's how we're going to get through this. The big chains, they're going to make it because they got the money. Once they close the restaurants, it just doesn't affect restaurants. It affected deliveries. It affected farms. People's, somebody out in Johnstown, and that's their only way of making income, just stopped, and now they have to feed a family. It's a trickle effect. Yeah. Support local as much as you can.
Absolutely.
If you have to get in your car and drive an extra half a mile, trust me, it's worth it. Your food is better. It tastes better. You know where it's coming from.
Yep. Absolutely.
Simple as that.
Fantastic. That's a perfect way to end this here. Stay local. Keep local, support local businesses, because it's a lot closer to home to everybody. Okay. Yes, sir. Well, before we get out of here, ideally it'd be nice to make this, a bi-weekly thing. Just
absolutely
general topics that come to mind, especially in the midst of this pandemic, if it lasts long. So the viewers who are watching this now and will watch this, stay tuned. We'll have announcements for another discussion coming up soon. But you have your own business, Ludwig's Kitchen. How can we find that on Instagram?
You could just get on it's Ludwig's Kitchen SpiceBlend.com. If you go to the Instagram, Ludwig's Kitchen, it has a link to the shop right there. We do our own